What's up, YouTube? Prof Sales coming at you with another video, and today I have my very own special guest, Karin, who's with me. She's going to take over in just a minute. You can see her down there. And we're going to talk to you guys about our inventory system and what we kind of use, and show you visually what it looks like, and then also show you practically what it looks like in terms of the actual items and so on. So maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. I think you can use this kind of system to really implement, an inventory program that will help you no matter how big or small your business is. So let's get right to it. All right, so let's do a quick diagram. Let's suppose this is your storage area, okay? This is the area you have to store your inventory in. This might be in your house, it could be your garage, it could be a storage building, it could be a warehouse or an office. It doesn't really matter. But your storage area might be broken up into some separate, we'll just say areas, and I'm going to show you what that would look like. So let's say you've got rooms in your storage area, and we'll say you've got room A. Actually, let me write this up here a little bit smaller for you. We'll say room A, room B, and room C, all right? Now, you may have only just one big area where you keep everything, so maybe it's all room A for you, or area A. That's fine. So when you're coming up with where your inventory goes, this is basically a 4-character system based on where it is in your inventory system. So your inventory tag, which is the same thing as it just tells you the location. Like you might have a SKU number on your item, but then you've got somewhere on your tag where it is. We're going to say it has 4 parts to it, okay? So let's say that you are storing, I don't know, let's just say it's clothing, just for sake of argument. Let's say you're storing jeans. And you're storing jeans here in area A. All right, so the first part of our tag would be A. Now, the reason you do this, guys, is because suppose your system had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Suppose it had a lot of different areas. When you go to look for something, you need to kind of think about, all right, it's in this general area. Now it's in this area. Now it's here. Now it's there. You need to keep focusing that down. If your room is big, say this was 2,000 square feet, and you told somebody to go find, some collectible item that's this big, you can't just say, hey, go search the room for it. You got to start narrowing it down so they can find it. So the first part is going to be our area, and we're going to say it's area A, all right? Now, in area A, there are fixtures. All right? And on these fixtures is where you're going to put your actual items. So we're going to call this one fixture number 1, fixture. So now we've got an actual fixture where the item is stored. But the fixture itself could have a lot of items on it, depending on how small or big your items are. So we need to narrow this down just a little bit more. So let's pull this fixture out. Here's your fixture, fixture number 1. All right, and on this fixture, we have, we'll say shelves. We'll say it's a shelving unit. So we're going to say shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3, and shelf 4. So let's say our item, we're going to put it here on shelf 3. So now we've got our fixture, and it doesn't matter if you count up or down really on this, but I like to count up, so that way if you add extra shelves on top, you can just add another number. Obviously, you can't keep going down with them if you started at the top. So I usually count from the bottom. So we'll say that our item is on shelf number 3. So there's the third part of our tag, all right? And then last but not least, we may have bins on this shelf. We may have spots. Karin's going to show you a little bit more about that here in just a moment. We may have containers. We may have segments, divisions, what have you. So we're going to say that this is bin number. We're going to number these 1, 2, 3. You could do it A, B, C, whatever system you want, as long as you stay consistent. We're going to say that this item is now in bin number 2. And so there's our location of our item. So we started with a big area. We narrowed it down to one particular fixture, in this case, a shelving unit. We narrowed it down to a shelf on that fixture, shelf number 3. And then we narrowed it down even further and said, all right, it's in bin. And by the way, bin doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be just a location on that. And Karin will talk a little bit more about that. But we're going to say it's in bin number 2. So now when we tell somebody to look, and this is all going to be labeled. Obviously, we can have labels here for, shelf 1, 2, 3, 4. This can be labeled somewhere as fixture 1. Maybe you have to have a sign up if this is area A, this is room A, whatever it is. But basically, it generates an inventory tag. And this can grow as big as you want. If you're if you're still growing and you need to add more bins to a fixture, you can maybe make 4 sections here. If you need to add shelves, you can add on more shelves and go 5 and 6. If you need to add more fixtures to the room, you could add a fixture 1, a fixture 2, fixture 3. And then even finally, you could add an area A, an area B, an area C, and so on and so on. So it really allows you guys to just grow your inventory management system as large as you want, all while just maintaining a 4-digit or 4-character inventory tag. So I hope that was graphically kind of made sense. So I'm going to turn it over to Karin, and I will be in the chat. And Karin, what do you got for the folks there at home? You set?
I am so set. So since everybody learns differently, we're hoping that this morning we'll sort of demystify this inventory elephant in the room, right? So Jason sort of gave, and I'm pointing to it as if it's over my shoulder. That's funny. But Jason gave a graphic, and his ABCs don't necessarily have to correspond to rooms. It could be areas or closets or shelving units. And I'm going to show you some examples of things that we use here so that hopefully it'll continue to visually make more sense to you. And all of them have their pros and cons and challenges. So not one of these is the bestest way to do it, but hopefully you can sort of incorporate it into things that you use and it'll make sense to you. So you know that we sell some jeans around here, right? So upstairs in the jean vault, we have a bunch of shelving units like this, and they're numbered so that everything in the house is area A. So it would start with the letter A, but then each unit, like Jason said, has a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this case, I pulled from, these are going to go to a couple different ones. But we stack the jeans on each shelf, on each unit in 6. Actually, we've just added a 7th spot. So they actually will stack up. And they're numbered. We put the most recent listing that we've added right on top. So the things that never change, and that question came up yesterday in one of the Reseller 101 video questions, is that do you ever reuse the inventory spot or do you reuse the inventory item spot? The inventory space or the position space, the shelving space, the area, that never changes. It stays the same. But your inventory items, of course, are going to. And that's important, not only if you're keeping track on a spreadsheet or whatever, but I threatened that if Jason used the word redundancy, I was going to jump in and say redundancy. But consider this. We're listing the you-know-what out of jeans one day. And it's inventory item, 5,907, 5,908, 5,909. And there's 10 of them. And we've gotten to the point now where we just copy and paste that both in our eBay listing as well as our inventory spreadsheet. But let's say you don't, and for some reason you're typing it in or something and you mistype. That redundancy is built in so that if for some reason, let's say you misplaced 5,908, you can go back to the day you listed that number and see what numbers are around it, and that can help you. Maybe you put it next to a different number, or you transpose this number. It's helped us many times where we've simply just set it on the stack next door, or we've put it in another stack or another inventory listing with another number. So redundancies are your friend. So this is one, stacking on a shelf. And as you can see from yesterday, I numbered as if this was fixture or room A, it's shelf 1. I'm sorry, A is the area, this is unit 1, shelf number 4, counting up from the bottom, and then position number 1. And then I have 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3 that I can place items. Here's an example, and up here we actually put shoes to show you another example. You can stack things like this. If you have boxes or clothing that will fold nicely and fit on top of each other, you can do that. But here we've taken it a step further. And with our shoes, they actually come, it's still going to be an area, but in this case, the area for us is SH, and that immediately will tell us that it's a shoe, and it'll fit on SHA 6, which in this case would have been shelf area A, unit A, area A, shelf, and then shelf number 6 up on top. And then we have the inventory item number that's down on here as well. And where we've taken this a step further is we're actually stacking it or inventorying it in the box that we're going to ship it. And this one's cool because we've taken another step where if one of us goes to pull this pair of shoes, there's a flat rate padded envelope in here. So that tells us immediately that we can ship that shoe for less in a smaller package. So that's just another step where we're sort of doing it in advance, and it's helping us further down the chain. Jason mentioned that you can also use buckets or bins. And in this case, we do have some for the items that won't fold and stack or won't hang up. And they're simply ABs. And for us, and I think I showed those yesterday, ABs just mean bins. And we're not a big fan personally of this system because currently, as you can see, all of our inventory items are just sort of stacked in there. Drives me crazy. It's not the most, with clothing, it's not the most organized way to do it. So what we're considering now actually is putting the clothing items similar to shoes, where we're taking that next step and maybe putting them in the shipping bag or poly bag. I like the idea of clear ones because then you can see what you have, but we can still put the tag. You know, we use these inventory tags, we print them on our Dymo printer, we use it for that as well, but we can actually stick that either to the box, or if we move to, we use alligator clips here, if we move to poly bags, we can actually stick that somewhere on the outside of the bag, close it up, and that's one more step toward shipping on the end after we sell it. We also use one other with our hanging racks, with our hanging clothes, like with blazers and things like that. For us, that would be area A again. I guess I could show you. Hopefully you can see that. Area A, and then HR would tell us that that's hanging rack, and then what position it's on. Yeah, and this one is number 1, and then of course the inventory number. So hopefully between yesterday, today, and everything else, we've made it make some sense to you. Thank you for joining us. It is Friday, Thursday? I don't even know what day it is. But we're glad you could be here. If you have any questions, please post them at the bottom so it'll benefit other people in the future. Consider giving us a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. And as always, we hope that you enjoy good reselling 101 and always good sales to you. Thanks, everybody.